The 19th century was a time of conquest. European empires, fueled by industrialization and the greed of colonialism, had carved up nearly all of Africa, reducing mighty kingdoms and vast civilizations to colonies. France had taken Algeria, Britain ruled Egypt, Belgium had ripped the Congo apart, Portugal controlled Angola, and Italy, young and ambitious, had set its sights on Ethiopia, believing it would be just another easy conquest. But Ethiopia was not like the others. It was a kingdom that had stood for thousands of years, a nation that traced its lineage back to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, a land where Christianity had taken root long before Europe had even heard of it, a country that had fought off invaders for generations and had never been ruled by outsiders. Ethiopia was the last free nation in Africa, and Menelik II, its emperor, intended to keep it that way. Italy had already set its plans into motion. They had occupied the Red Sea coastal region of Eritrea, establishing colonies and building outposts. From there, they plotted their expansion, believing Ethiopia to be nothing more than a scattered collection of primitive tribes, an easy prize waiting to be taken. In 1889, after the death of Emperor Johannes IV, Italy made its move. They signed the Treaty of Vucale with Menelik II, a deal they thought would bind Ethiopia under their control. But there was a problem. The treaty was written in two versios, Sidra, one in Italian, one in Amharic. The Italian version stated that Ethiopia was now a protectorate of Italy, meaning Menelik would have to seek approval from the Italian king for all foreign affairs. The Amharic version, however, made no mention of this. When Menelik discovered the deception, he was furious. He immediately denounced the treaty, rejecting Italy's claim over Ethiopia. He knew what this meant. War was coming, and he was ready for it. Menelik II was not a man of empty words. He knew the cost of war. He understood that Italy had a modern army, European rifles, cannons, and professional soldiers. He knew Ethiopia's warriors, though fierce and battle-hardened, lacked the same level of weaponry. But he also knew something greater: the unbreakable spirit of his people. Riding through the heart of Ethiopia, from the highlands of Shoa to the valleys of Tigray, he delivered a message that shook the very core of his nation. An enemy stands at your doorstep. They have come to snatch your wife, to take your religion, to steal your land. Follow me now, or when I return, I swear in the name of the Virgin Mary, I will kill you myself. These were not just words, they were a call to survival. And the people answered. Menelik sent out runners and messengers, carrying his decree across mountains, valleys, and plains. Ethiopia had never been truly unified under one flag before. It was a nation of diverse ethnic groups, with separate rulers and rivalries that had existed for centuries. But now, at this moment, those divisions did not matter. From the Amhara highlands, warriors gathered, bringing their massive shields and razor-sharp shotels, curved swords made for slicing through flesh and armor alike. From the vast Oromo plains, the feared cavalry riders joined. From Tigray, seasoned warriors who had battled against foreign invaders before marched forward. The Sidama, the Garaj, the Walaita, the Afar, the Somali, all came answering the emperor's call. This was not just an army. This was a nation standing as one. While Menelik gathered his warriors, another mind was shaping the battlefield before a single shot was fired. Empress Taytu Betul, Menelik's wife, was not just a queen. She was a strategist, a warrior, and a leader in her own right. She knew that a head-on fight with the Italians would be costly, and so she devised a plan to weaken them before they could even reach the battlefield. She ordered her forces to cut off the Italian supply lines, starving them of food, water, and reinforcements. She even had Ethiopian scouts poison water sources that the Italians relied on. By the time the Italians reached Adwa, they were already exhausted, hungry, and vulnerable. It was March 1st, 1896, the 27th day of the Ethiopian month, a day when Ethiopia celebrated St. George, their divine protector in times of war. Priests walked among the warriors, holding high the sacred relics, blessing the army before they marched into battle. This was more than a fight for land. This was a battle for faith, for identity, for the soul of a nation. At dawn, the Italians advanced, believing they would easily crush the Ethiopians with their European firepower. They had over 17,000 soldiers, rifles, artillery, and cavalry. Their general, Oreste Baratieri, had assured his king that this would be a swift and glorious victory. But Menelik and Taytu had already set the trap. As the Italians pushed forward, Ethiopian warriors poured from the hills, descending upon them like a storm. Spearmen clashed against bayonets. Swords flashed in the morning light. The sound of war drums and battle cries drowned out the thunder of gunfire. By midday, the battlefield was unrecognizable. The Italian army had collapsed. Thousands lay dead. Thousands more were captured. General Baratieri had fled like a coward, abandoning his own soldiers to their fate. The victory that shook the world. For the first time in modern history, an African nation had defeated a European power in full-scale warfare. Ethiopia had shattered the myth of European invincibility, proving that Africa was not weak, not defenseless, not Europe's to take. Italy was humiliated. They were forced to sign the Treaty of Addis Ababa, officially recognizing Ethiopia's sovereignty. But despite this, the world has tried to bury the Battle of Adwa. They don't teach it in schools. They don't write it in history books. They don't want you to know that an African army destroyed a European empire. But we remember. We remember the warriors who stood against the odds. We remember the leaders who refused to surrender. We remember the day Africa defeated Europe. This was not just a battle. This was history rewritten.